This year, Scotland will vote on a new parliament, and the Scottish National Party, who are currently holding 61 of the 129 seats, is expected to even further their lead in the upcoming election. And their party leader, Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, has announced she will try to hold another referendum after the failed referendum in 2014 on their country's independence from the United Kingdom, which apparently is a quite popular idea right now in Scotland. After the Brexit vote, the support for independence has continually grown and now exceeded the no votes, which means an actual independent Scottish state is likely in the case of a referendum. One reason for this increased support is that most Scots wanted to remain in the European Union, and as a separate country they could rejoin the EU and have some other cool things like their own currency, constitution, and even head of state. There are several different reasons for splitting your country or gaining independence without the rest of the nation's approval. But what regions are aiming for this, and what new states could we see appearing in Europe in the next years? Basically anyone can start an independence movement, and there are really countless in Europe. But for the sake of this video, we're only going to look at some more likely regions to actually pull this off. We're also not going into detail with countries who have already kind of done this but aren't recognized yet. That includes Transnistria, Crimea belonging to Russia, and Northern Cyprus. We're still going to add them to our list and our map though. So, back to the British Isles. Other than Scotland becoming independent, there is also potential in Wales, where only 5% of Brits live. While they have some separatist movements and while support for the United Kingdom has dropped there in the last year, still only 22% support independence, and support for Brexit was much higher than in Scotland, so it's pretty safe to say Wales will remain a part of the UK. It's a different story for Northern Ireland though. The small part of the UK that is located on the island of Ireland is split on this issue, as in recent polls almost half of the inhabitants supported not independence, but joining the Republic of Ireland, an idea that has gained popularity in the last years and probably will continue to do so. One could even argue it's only a matter of time until Ireland is unified. And surprisingly, England is also not quite sure if they even want to be part of their kingdom, as in polls a whopping 49% said England should be an independent country. But in case that really happened, it would probably be the end of the United Kingdom entirely. Another region with about half the population's support for independence is Catalonia. Their separatist movement is known for huge protests in recent years, and after a controversial, forbidden referendum, their president even declared independence, or at least kind of, followed by an escape to Belgium. Spain's response to the incidents was very strong, as Spain has several regions, like the Basque Country, which have their own language, culture, and thus potential to follow Catalonia's example, which could weaken the Spanish kingdom's unity. Catalonia also has one of the strongest economies in the country of Spain, and their independence would worsen Spain's situation, not only in terms of money, but also sports. Back in the UK, Boris Johnson is also desperate right now to keep Scotland in the Union, visiting the country despite the current COVID situation and warnings he wouldn't be welcomed there. Both Spain's and the UK's reactions are quite understandable when you think about how divided the populations of those regions are and how fast opinions about independence can change. So it's probably a good idea to try everything to keep a part of your country for a bit longer and hope that the situation turns out in your favour, or even grant more autonomy to the region to further calm down the situation. Let's go to Belgium next, where I won't go into the history of this country, but it's a state where two languages, French and Dutch, are equally spoken alongside a few German villages that don't deserve their own state. A partition could either make two independent states or make them join their neighbouring countries. Right now, only about 1/3 of the population supports splitting the country, making this the most unlikely scenario on our list. But the situation is pretty much at ease now, since freedom of movement in the EU makes it possible for Belgian citizens to move freely in the region. Should that situation change in the future, we could see a partition of Belgium as a hot topic for debate again. The exact opposite of a separation could happen to Albania and Kosovo in the next years. Kosovo is a not entirely recognized country in the Balkans. So far since it declared independence from Serbia in 2008, the United Nations haven't recognized Kosovo as a country yet, but the US and the EU have so. 93% of Kosovars are ethnic Albanians, and polls show high support for unification, quote-unquote, in the near future, though support was higher in Albania than in Kosovo. So, this is my map of how Europe could change in the future. Of course, this is not a prediction, it's just examples of the most likely scenarios. And I'm aware I'm not an expert on every country I covered in the videos, so please don't be offended if I covered anything wrongly, or if I forgot your country's independence movement. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the content of today's video. And as I'm just starting out as a new channel on YouTube, it would make me very happy if you subscribed. Also, the first 10 subscribers and their first comments, if they make one, will be mentioned in a shoutout video once I reach that milestone.